Right, Construction Champions, it's your host, Ron Nussbaum, and we're here for another amazing episode of Construction Champions Podcast, where, as always, we're burning the house down. And that house is everything in your life, your business, relationships, everything that is keeping you from being the champion that we know you're meant to be. And we know you guys don't tune in twice a week to hear Ron Nussbaum go on some rant. You show up because of our amazing guests. And today we have a repeat offender with us. I always love it when we get to bring people back, new perspectives, fresh information. Luke, it is fantastic to have you back on the show today.
It's a pleasure to be here, Ron. Looking forward to chatting again.
Awesome, man. Well, why don't you reintroduce yourself to all the construction champions out there and probably all the new listeners we have since the last time you were on the show?
Yeah, happy to. My name is Luke Boyenger. I'm the CEO of Cruzumi CFO and Advisory. We support construction businesses by bringing the CFO skill set into the business on an outsourced basis for a fraction of the cost of hiring a full-time CFO. So business owners can get the amount of CFO they need instead of having to buy the whole thing.
Which I just recently found out is a major need in the construction industry. So
Yeah.
let's dive right in there. And I'm going to ask the $1,000,000 question. And that is, what makes a construction champion?
Ever found yourself revisiting a project because of a small miscommunication? It's frustrating and costly. That's why I switched to BuilderComms. Their construction communication management solution cuts through the noise, ensuring my team is always on the same page. Now, missteps are rare and rework is a thing of the past. Ready to streamline your projects? Check out BuilderComms today.
To me, it's the way I think of it, and me being a construction champion is being an advocate of the construction industry. So my business, what I do, I'm not out there doing construction work, but I am a huge advocate for the construction industry, for the skilled trades, for saying screw sitting in a cubicle in corporate America for 40 years. Go out and do something with your hands. Go build something. Go get a job or start a business. You're going to make more money. You're going to enjoy your life a lot more. I guarantee it.
I would guarantee that as well. I mean, just getting out, doing something with your life other than sitting and burning away in a cubicle.
Yeah.
There's just no reason for it. I believe, as I work from home in my basement.
Yeah. Well, as a guy who used to work in a cubicle, trust me, it's soul sucking work.
I bet. And I have a lot of our listeners out there that probably can't even relate with that. But
Mm-hmm.
let's dive into the CFO, man. This
Yeah.
whole problem with an industry. We just had a guest on a few episodes ago where they brought up some not amazing, like mind-blowing statistics around how this is something that the construction industry has pretty much just taken and said, yeah, big old X through that. We don't need it over here. And that blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I would say I encounter some of that as well. And I think it's simply a function of we have to do a better job of educating the marketplace on what it is that we do and why it's valuable, because I don't think that comes through clearly. I talk to business owners all the time that tell me, I'm not a dying company. My company is growing. We're profitable. We have cash in the bank. I don't need you. And well, that's like, I'm super happy to hear that your company's growing, you're profitable, and you have cash in the bank. But to say that you don't need finance expertise in the business kind of betrays a lack of understanding of general business knowledge. Because being profitable, let's say you're a 5% net profit, 6%, 7% net profit, fine, great. Congratulations, you're a profitable company. But do you really want to not hire a fractional CFO who could boost you up to 8 to 10% net profit? just because it feels good to say that you don't need help. It doesn't make any sense. Why leave another 2 or 3% profitability on the table just so you can say that you didn't need anybody's help? It just doesn't make sense.
Well, and it's a planning perspective thing that it starts to come down to when you actually bring in people that understand how money flows and what can be done with it. So I love that you bring up the educational piece, because I believe I come from the construction industry. I'm a construction guy, but we are one of the hardest industries to just clearly talk to. Like, just to
Yeah.
deliver a message and educate on why this is so important. Because if it's literally not something that's hitting us in the forehead, and I'm going to add one in there, making us bleed badly, we're not paying that much attention to it, or we don't really feel like we need to be educated on it. I run into this
Right.
just as much as with what I do now. So I would love for you to help educate all listeners out there on this today. So, like, we can start
Sure.
to have a clear understanding.
Yeah. So I think about it like this. I've been playing golf my whole life. I know how to freaking swing a golf club. I know how to hit the ball. I know how to generally make it travel in the direction of the hole approximately. And I eventually get it there, complete a round of golf. I had a good time, mission accomplished. What's the problem? Why would I need to work with a golf coach? That's just a waste of money. I can just go to the driving range and hit buckets of balls. And if I go hit 10,000 balls, I'll get better, right? I don't need to hire an expensive golf coach. Well, I did hire an expensive golf coach because I wanted to get better faster than I could by going and hitting 10,000 golf balls by myself at a range. Because guess what? If you just go hit 10,000 golf balls the wrong way, all you're doing is further instilling hitting the ball the wrong way into your brain. And by sitting down and working with an actual professional golf coach, I literally hit 5 balls and he told me exactly what I was doing wrong, made a couple slight changes, and I instantly started hitting the ball better. I've shaved 10 strokes off of my game from working with a professional golf coach for like 6 weeks, like not even a big deal, right? This is what we do for businesses. It's not that you aren't profitable. It's not that you don't have cash in the bank. It's not that you suck at running a business and you can't do it without us. It's we can get you to your goals faster. The same way that a golf coach can take one look at my swing and know exactly what I'm doing wrong because he's analyzed thousands of them. I can take one look at a business's profit and loss and immediately know several things that they're doing wrong that could unlock additional profitability and cash flow in their business. Just because I've looked at so many of them. This is what I do. This is my profession. This is my expertise. And bringing that skill set in gets you to where you're trying to go faster. And the most mind-blowing thing about it is we're completely free. It doesn't cost the business anything to work with us. You say, what the heck, you're giving away your services for free, really? No. What I'm saying is we deliver value far in excess of what you pay us. If we don't save you more money than it costs to bring us in, we failed. We pay for ourselves by unlocking profitability, by reducing costs, by improving cash flow. A lot of business owners don't want to bring in a fractional CFO because all they think is, well, I make $500,000 a year. If I pay a fractional CFO $100,000 a year, now I'm only going to make $400,000. No, if you make $500,000 a year and you bring in a fractional CFO and pay them $100,000 a year, you better make $750,000 next year because they're going to come in and grow your profitability and your business so that you're taking home more even after paying.
Yeah, and let's dive into that mindset shift right there that has to happen in the construction, or not just in the construction industry, in people's personal lives in every aspect. If you're bringing in a service, or you're bringing in somebody, hiring somebody, anytime you have excess money going out, if you're looking at it as this is going to cut into what I make, that is the wrong way to look at it. Might it temporarily? Yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't have the extra cash flow to cover it, it might temporarily impede what you're going to currently make. But long
Yeah.
term, it should add multiples to what you're making.
Yeah, absolutely. Sticking with the golf theme here that I unintentionally got myself off on. Tiger Woods, when he was at his prime, hired a golf instructor to come in and completely rebuild his swing. Like he was out there dominating. And he said, I see an opportunity to be better, even better than I already am. And he decided to capitalize on that. He completely went and rebuilt his golf swing by bringing in a coach. And then he just went on a tear and won like a whole bunch of tournaments in a row right after doing that. It's like, well, why would you hire a coach to change your golf swing when you're already winning a ton? Because he saw an opportunity to be even better. And we owe it to ourselves to be the best that we can. And he chose to make an investment and take the time and the effort to become even better, to achieve his potential and not settle for good enough. And he went on to be one of the greatest golfers of all time, right? So it's kind of like that in business. Like, sure, you can run a 5% net profit business for the next 20 years. You're going to make money. You're going to, die happy and great. That's fine. But over that same 20-year period, why not make 7 or 8% and have that much more to give to your family, to leave to your kids, to build a legacy and a bigger business that you can pass on to the next generation?
Well, and where you're talking about those few point, like the going from the 5 to the 7, 8, when you're talking that 2 to 3 points, the 2 to 3% there is what can really drive wealth. That can really
Right.
build a legacy. And I think that's what you're talking about there is like you can just get right on by, have a decent life, have this business, or just with a little bit of help and understanding in this area, you can really start to build some wealth. You can really start to build a legacy. And then when it comes to inheriting the company to somebody, or you retire and you liquidate it, you're going, if you go, say you get to 55 and you're like, I'm going to be done, and you're like, I'm going to sell this company, I'm going to tell you right now, you want that 3 points. Like you want that
Yeah.
bad.
You're 100% right, Ron, because you take two $20 million businesses, one does 5% net profit, one does 7% net profit. The valuation upon sale of that business for the business that does 7% is significantly higher than the business that does 5% net profit. One, because the business that only does 5% net profit is going to have a very hard time even finding a strategic buyer that will take it in the first place. So your likelihood of even selling the company is significantly lower. Now, not even getting into valuation multiples or anything like that. It's something I can't remember the exact statistic off the top of my head, but it's like something around 75, I think, to 80% of businesses that get listed for sale never sell. Like it is a high percentage. So pushing for that extra couple percentage of profitability significantly increases your exit value, not only just because the multiple is higher, but because your likelihood of actually being able to complete a sales transaction is significantly higher.
Yeah, and a lot of companies are sold before they even hit the market because they
Mm-hmm.
are very well run companies. And when people start talking about that they're going to leave it, it just gets acquired without it even hitting the market for sale because people
Yeah.
have these numbers right. It's when we're just talking a couple of percentages, I can see how guys are like, it's just a couple of percentages, but on $1 million, it's a good chunk of money. And as your business continues to grow, one of the things about this is it compounds. So if you're doing 5% at a couple million and you get it right and you get up to 7% and you scale the business to 5 million, it has an even bigger impact on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a meaningful amount of money, right? I mean, 5% of 20 million is $1 million. but 7% of 20 million is 400,000. And I mean, that's a straight bottom line impact, another $400,000 of profitability simply by improving 2 percentage points. And you don't want to do that because a fractional CFO costs 100,000 a year.
And what's an actual CFO cost? Like 220, 250, something like that, if you were going to hire one?
Yeah, I actually have that exact data
I knew you
right in
would.
front of me. So, Robert Half, a huge nationwide recruiting firm, right? They release a salary guide every year. They've already released the 2025 salary guide, and the bottom end of the range for a full-time CFO in 2025 is $213,000. That's no payroll tax, no benefits, no bonus, no equity. That's just straight salary. And that's the absolute bottom end of the range.
So if my 220, if you could find somebody to do it for that, I mean, you'd hit a home run. You probably wouldn't want to hire that person. Let's be honest.
Right. Yeah, you're talking about a lower level skill set. And just for context, the top end of the range is 354,000. So you're probably looking at more like 275, 300 to get a experienced, seasoned veteran CFO who really knows what they're doing. And that's just salary.
And one of the problems you run into is what's the chances you're going to find somebody that has construction experience and has looked
Right.
at construction P&Ls and what, I mean, we ended up hiring somebody from the manufacturing world because that's literally the closest we could find in our demographic that understood at least the blue collar word. So like having the conversations, literally the only guy that wore a suit and tie to office every day.
Yeah. Well, we don't do that. I left the suit and tie in corporate America.
But I mean, I would say it was one of the best hires we made because it started to give us a lot of perspective on what could be. And I think that's where people miss it, is because like you said, they're looking at what is right now. If we're moving along, things are going good, but what could be in 2 to 3 years if we really had somebody that understood that aspect better than we understood it?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I feel like there's maybe a little bit of fear out there that sounds something like, I don't want to go hire some ivory tower a-hole who's just going to sit there in a suit and tie and tell me what to do, and he's never swung a hammer before in his life, right? It's just, like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I do that? Well, that's not what it's about, and that's certainly not how we approach delivering CFO services to our clients. It's a highly collaborative. We view it as our job is really just to put good information in front of smart people. If we put good information in front of smart people, they already know what they need to do. They just need the right information to be able to make a decision. And a big part of what we do is just wrangling their information, getting it accurate, getting it timely, and putting it in a format that's actually telling them useful information that they can, so they have decision-making data about how to run the company. Honestly, we find that when we do that and we just put good data in front of smart people, they don't need us to tell them what to do. They can tell what to do by looking at the data. They just need someone who can put good data in front of them and tell them what it means.
Yeah. No, it's like that's what it is like if you don't understand this stuff, we can all sit here and say, I understand the P&L. I understand what our budget is. I know what we do. I know what our job costing is. But do we really is always the question. Like I ask myself all the time.
Yeah.
Is do I really? I know I think I do. But if I had somebody here that was an expert in this, could I have a conversation with them without falling out of it? Most of the time, the answer is no. I'm just good enough.
Right. Yeah. No, I think there's a little bit of a temptation to get overly comfortable with one's knowledge of accounting and think, oh, well, I watched a YouTube video. I know how to read a P&L and a balance sheet. I know what it's telling me. And I know that in my industry, I need to have a 20% gross profit and a 5 to 10% net profit. And that's what we have. So we're good, right? Well, Maybe. I mean, do you have the skill set to know whether or not you're calculating gross profit correctly? Because you might be looking at a 30% gross profit and thinking, hey, we're killing it. But it only looks that way because you don't have the skill set to know that your accounting is wrong and you actually have a 15% gross profit. And the thing that you need to fix in your business isn't reducing admin cost. It's changing your actual service delivery model so that you're earning the actual gross margin on the jobs you're doing that you think you are, so that you have enough gross profit flowing down into the admin side of the business to be able to come out at the end of the day with the net profit that you need. If the accounting's not right and you're calculating all those percentages wrong, you're going to go pull the wrong levers because the problem isn't where you think it is.
And that's just going to be putting gasoline on that fire.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why so many companies, they keep trying to fix it and they don't make any progress and they can't figure out why. It's almost always because there's something wrong in the accounting.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, great stuff. It's been awesome having you back on. I feel like we had a completely different conversation, a completely different view on it. For all the construction champions out there, where can they find you, connect with you, follow you? Where's the best places to do that?
Yeah, I'm very active on LinkedIn. Luke Boyenger, you can look me up. Boyenger is not a super common name, so I'm pretty easy to find. I post on there every single day, educational content for the construction industry, about accounting and finance for construction companies. So give me a follow, check out my content. You might find it helpful. You can also find us on our website, cruzumi.com, or my email address, which is just luke.boyenger@cruzumi.com. Any of those work, and I'm happy to have a conversation.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for taking the time and being on the show today.
Yeah, again, it was a pleasure. And thank you so much for having me on as a guest.
Awesome. All right, construction champions, another episode in the bag. Where if you haven't realized by now that having a CFO on your team is completely achievable. It doesn't have to cost $300,000 a year. You can get in there, you can start having somebody to work with, and to actually truly understand this. I'll be honest, is like the numbers. I can be a numbers guy. I understand math, but I'll tell you what, this is some of the most mind-numbing aspects of what we do. And when I could finally just go in a meeting and be handed a report and go line by line and be told this is this, and know they were accurate and have a clear understanding if I had any questions, and then I could set that back down on my desk after that meeting and go do the stuff that I really enjoyed and I loved. It was a game changer. It relieves so much of the stuff we don't like to do, but for some reason, like I said earlier, unless it's gushing blood and we're about ready to pass out, we don't want to address it. So guys, it's time we start addressing this stuff. It's time that we move this aspect, because this is how we go from good to great. Right here this is how you build wealth, leave a legacy. This is everything we're here, like Construction Champions Podcast is here to help change the construction industry and what we do and how we do it. And when we have guests on here like Luke that are talking about how we can actually just go from the daily grind to actually leaving this legacy, doing something amazing just by stepping out and saying, I have to hire I have to bring in some outside eyes to get on this. I don't want to have to admit it to myself, but that's the truth. That's what we have to do because we can't do everything. What I say on here is all the time is figure out what you really love to do and do that, and then go find the best people that you can possibly put around you for everything else and just do what you love. But make sure you're observing the data from those people, hold them accountable. I know Luke, he wants to be held accountable for what you would hire him to do, but just let him do it so you don't have to do it anymore. So that's my little rant right there for the end of the podcast. Construction Champions. Make sure you go check out all of our fantastic sponsors. And until next time, be the champion you were meant to be. Hey, Construction Champions. It's your host, Ron Nussbaum here. And I want to talk to you about how you can automate all of your marketing. We've had so many people on here talk about getting the systems in place. Well, we have partnered with Build 12 and Construction Champions podcast. Les O'Hara, the founder, what really excites me is his 30 years in the industry. And now he's built a system to be able to nurture your leads and continue to utilize that. I personally use the system myself. Build 12 is absolutely amazing. There's a lot of value in there, and it's a way to start getting away from Angie's List and all of that kind of stuff and start actually creating your own leads every day and have a system for them. So go on our website.
Introducing HomeTrack. We create digital new home profiles using homeowner specifications, pictures, and warranty policies, replacing the large paper binders normally provided by home builders to their buyers. We also digitize the final blue tape walkthrough and instantly create a punch list that both builders and homeowners can track until a resolution. By simplifying the handover process, we are saving home builders time and money.